So what's this about?
This is a podcast called Not a Boring Real Estate Podcast where we talk about real estate, and we hope it's not boring. That's why we drink. Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers,
guys.
brother. Hey, thanks for coming on, dude. We're super happy to have you. Erik Kaiser, ladies and gentlemen. So this guy's a very successful realtor, one of the few that we've had on. And so I wanted to ask this guy about like fucking, you know, what are you doing, trade secrets, all that stuff. And he's like real tight-lipped. But other than that, and I'm not just talking about physically, he doesn't want to give out too many secrets. But what we do want to ask him is just some real cool stuff. Like, so let me ask you, Erik, we got you on this freaking podcast. We got a drink in you. What is something that you see realtors not doing that could be benefiting their business?
Well, I guess for one thing, I don't really associate with a lot of realtors, unfortunately. After you kind of, you know, you get too busy, you're just kind of, I never go to the office except to print, but, you know, except for social events. But I see, you know, kind of from what I can pick up, I think realtors, you know, they treat it like a hobby business. They don't work it like a business, or they're not structured, because you can invest 8 hours a day, you can invest 2 hours a day, but if you're not structured and doing it consistently, then it doesn't matter, right? So, I mean, even if you're doing the wrong thing consistently, a turkey can fly in a hurricane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're gonna find your nut. The squirrel finds a nut, you know, every once in a while, but you know, and then you track and measure and figure it out. Read a lot of books, you know, and just kind of educate yourself and keep it going, and just don't wake up in the morning, have your coffee, go to the gym at 10 and be done. You know, you got to really focus, you know, to be successful.
Right on.
That's a good point. And just to bring it back a little bit, we are here at the United American Mortgage Man Cave, also known as the Event Center, also known as Al's Garage. We got a Ferrari behind us, folks. We're having fun over here.
Yeah, we got a Ford GT as well up there if you can see it.
Yep.
Oh, dude, this place is awesome. So shout out to our sponsors, United American Mortgage Corporation. We got Al and his entire team, Ted Learakis. We got Dave Lara, who are phenoms in the loan business. So we really appreciate you guys having us, sponsoring us, and yeah. So let's move on.
Mm-hmm. Let's go. So you are having, I think you just had, was it the best year ever? Was that your best year ever?
Best year ever. Yep, 2022. Best year ever. Well, 2021 was great as well. I hit the Remax Chairman Award Club both of those years. So this year I hit it again, but my GCI was a little bit over than it was last year. So yeah, we hit Chairman again this year. So that was great.
See, that's the thing, is that this guy just had the best year ever. Every agent, every person on the news right now is saying how bad the real estate market is. All those agents are out there saying how bad their business is right now. This guy just had the best year ever. Okay. And we hear that you're the king of probates.
Well, I didn't say that. I don't know who said that.
We have an inside person on the inside.
What the heck is a probate?
Probate is probate's a process if somebody passes away without a trust and the property is not in the trust, then it'll just have to go through that process, and you know, there's some hoops to jump through. So if there's a piece of real estate involved in that, typically it needs to be sold. Typically, if there's beneficiaries, or it needs to be refinanced or something else.
So yeah, so like let's say, you know, mom, dad both pass away, horrific car accident, and the kids are left with it.
That's so sad. You just took like the worst. It's not like the 95-year-old grandma who passes away peacefully.
No, it was a double homicide inside the house.
And that's a great deal.
and so you know, the kids don't want it. You know, they just want their money. How often do you run into that, where it's like just money hungry kids, or is there anything that you've dealt with where you're just like, wow, like that's kind of shows you humanity a little bit?
Oh yeah, it's all the time. You know, I'm in a situation right now where someone had passed away, and taking a listing next week, and the beneficiaries, it's a power of attorney situation, but the beneficiaries don't want to invest anything into the property. It's crazy. They want to sell for cash. I'm like, well, at least let's put some flooring in and replace the carpet and update the lighting and just do some very basic stuff, maybe some paint and maybe some doorknobs, you know, a couple lighting fixtures. they don't want to invest anything. So I mean, the price.
And they want top dollar.
Yeah, and it just sometimes people won't listen to anyone but who they're listening to and just trying to sell it and get it sold. It's pretty sad, but yeah, it happens a lot.
And when they do decide to actually do the paint and the new doorknobs, do you get more money for that?
Oh yeah. We get a little bit more. Yeah. It just depends on the market, depending on what you do, how much you invest. So you got to look at all that stuff. And yeah, the process itself. A lot of people, if you don't have yourself set up properly, and if something like that happens, then typically it'll go through probate. And there's a lot of things that people are unaware of as well. Sometimes the property does not have to go through probate as well. It just kind of depends on what the situation is. Sometimes an occupant can refinance it out, and it still kind of goes through probate, but not really. So there's all sorts of different scenarios that are presented that no scenario is the same. It's always something different. You learn on every deal.
Yeah.
Now, you brought up something in regards to most realtors don't handle their job like a business. And it's not a job, right? Because they're self-employed at this point. You're not getting a paycheck every week. Now, what would you say to the person that is transactional, that literally is living paycheck to paycheck, and they go and spend a ton of money, and then they just end up broke again, waiting for the next paycheck?
Yeah, they're just you just got to be doing the right things. You got to. I mean, it's unfortunate, but people in this industry, and even some management, they have no clue what's going on or how to do something, and they steer people in the wrong direction. They don't have a structured plan, and if you're not accountable, then yeah, you've got to be accountable, and you got to work it. Just because you get your license, you have some agents that go in the office and they think they're, God's gifted humanity because they close 3 deals or something, and then they don't understand it. The successful agents, I think, are the ones that you'll see treat the affiliates good, like your lenders, your title reps, and but the second that you see people that just don't give them the time of day, or they're too busy, or they're too good for them, that I treat myself like a lender and a title rep in the field, and you just gotta you're serving, right? But I mean, I could very easily go in my office and just kind of at functions or whatever, and not really interact with them. Yeah. But if you don't, that's the thing. People think that they're too good, and they don't realize that the lender, the title rep, you got to treat them well too in the process, because you're just going to carry that outside. You can't. That's not going to help you in how you're running how you do your business. It's just kind of funny. So that's one thing that I would say that people can do is just realize that you got to treat everybody special, because you don't know where the deal's going to come from. I mean, I've had some stuff come from people that I probably wouldn't have interacted at all, and you just end up as like everybody knows somebody as far as real estate, right? So you don't know if you could be talking to someone that looks like they're homeless, but they're they've got 3 properties to sell or whatever. I mean, there's so many situations that you got to be kind of nice to everybody, and everybody's always got eyes on you too, right? So.
And then financially, like, what would you give some advice? Like, say, hey, kid, this is what you need to do to, make sure that you don't get in trouble with taxes, or just to continue the money flow going. What would you recommend?
Well, yeah, as soon as I think the cutoff is about 80,000, and then you want to get probably your S corp, set that up with the state. Keep track of everything that you spend, because you can write off everything pretty much. And once you get your corporation set up, I think, you can always do a corporate resolution that, the corporation has agreed to do this or that. And wherever you go, grab a receipt, even though if it's not your receipt, grab the main big receipt. And then who you met, right on the back, who you met with. It's real simple and quick. Or when you get, like, every night when I get home, I usually log it in my ledger. I just write it. And also I write on the back of the receipt who I met with, what we talked about or whatever. Because if you're ever audited, that's going to come out. But I can write off the whole thing.
But so you take the time to go through your ledger and like write everything? Like, hey, I went out, I spent this much. I don't care. Like, do you do it while you're still drunk, or from like that night, or you do like the next day?
And I use my one card. I use my Capital One. I get my travel points, which is awesome. And then I can go through that and see what I spent and remember and what I'm getting auto billed for and all this. But you keep track of all that because everything's a write-off at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything, your cell phones. I mean, it's dinner's out as long as you got a reason. You're talking about real estate. You're buying some food for an open house. I mean, I don't know about that. Talk to your CPA, but I mean, there's a lot of
disclosure.
Disclosure. Yeah. I'm not telling you what to do, but I think once you're making that amount, then you do that. You set yourself up, and also people don't understand. It's like, get insurance. You have E&O insurance. Get general liability insurance for yourself. Because if you're showing property at an HOA and you back up into something, you damage something in a parking structure or something, well, they're going to come after you. E&O has nothing to do with that. You want your own liability insurance. It's about $1,500 a year, but it protects you up to maybe $1 million or so. But if you go somewhere, if you don't lock up or if something gets stolen or broken on a vacant property, I mean, you got to get your insurance too. Like a lot of people go into it, they don't get insurance, they got E&O thinking it protects them. Like, no, you got all sorts of other stuff going on.
Wow.
And then you could get sued. And then, then when your business is rolling, then you want to set up your basically protect your assets, right?
Yeah.
You want to do your, however you want to do that. But so there's a whole stepping stone in that process. It's like, okay, I got to do this, this, and this, and this. And so it's a process, but I think I don't know if I answered that question.
No, you did. And let me tell you, so we were at the Ducks game last week. We saw the Ducks beat the Sharks in overtime. Great hockey game.
Great game.
That was
game.
great.
That was great.
From what I remember, it was a great game.
So this guy was very smart. He's like, okay, we paid the bill while we were pre-gaming across the street at JT Schmidt's. And he was like, yeah, make sure you get the bill, a copy of the receipt. And I was like, oh. And he's like, yeah, for Dex. And I was like, oh, yeah, brilliant. I got to do that everywhere. Got to get those receipts, man.
This is why we do this show, because we're like, this is the boring side of it.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, like, get it done, because like we want to try to spoon feed it to them in a nice way. But essentially, where it's like, hey, dude, like, we're trying to teach you guys how to be successful realtors.
Yeah, I mean, I would say anybody getting in the business, I really enjoyed Brian Buffini too. His peak producer program is, it's all by referral, but the concept's there, right? That's kind of where you get people to start off at. But and then people just got to open their minds to doing business a different way too, just whatever they like to do. But Brian Buffini's system is great. You get product with it. I like that because it's the only coaching program that you actually get product. It's like stupid easy. They'll even mail your stuff out for you.
Product as in what?
Like marketing materials, things like that.
Nice. Brian Buffini.
Yeah,
Shout out.
Peak Producers, it'll give you 3-month marketing material. It's similar to the KW Bold program, but it's about half the price, and you get the 3-month marketing materials for about 3 months, basically. So I think it's a really good system for somebody starting out, and if someone's consistent, something will happen. You just got to have a plan and invest the time. It doesn't have to be all day. It just has to be structured, right?
Structured. Be efficient, not just,
Yeah.
Hey, I took 200 calls today, but did you get anything from it? Right?
Yeah.
Like, be effective.
I remember Brian Buffini was like, you could send emails all day long. You got to hit them in the mailbox, because emails, they just click delete. Physical mail, they actually have to throw it away. They have to open it, that kind of a thing. Buffini's a very smart guy.
So I personally haven't heard of him, but I know, like, Ryan, he's like, as far as like mailing and the 32 touch system, like he's proven that it's a proven system, because he gets plenty of business from it too, plenty of listings.
Yep. You sell that whole darn neighborhood with the right mailing campaign. And Brian Buffini is really smart about providing value to past clients and all that stuff. So I'm all about it. How did you actually get into this business?
Well, back in 1991, I was 19. I was going to Cerritos College at night, and I took 3 classes, business law, and there was a real estate class. And in high school, I worked for this girl, her dad. He was a developer, so I would paint apartments or whatever in Long Beach and just work for him on the side. And then I'm like, development has something to do with real estate. Maybe I'll take this real estate class. And back then, that's the only class you needed, the principles. So I took the course in City College at night at Cerritos, and then I decided to take the test. I failed it the first time because I didn't know anything about anything. And then I passed it the second time, and then because I studied every morning, read all the tests and stuff. And then, I got a couple letters from some local offices, went out and did my little, interview, so to speak. And that was kind of a start of it. And then I was farming at a farm about 800 homes. So I had a lot more energy. So I'd just door knock 3 to 5 p.m., probably 4 days a week for about maybe 6 or 8 months. But I was competing against people in the farm for like 20 years. So that was really tough. I was just too young. Like 25 is really the best because people get married, but I was like 19, right? So I sold one house that year, my first year. To a couple that were 25-year-olds. They got married, yeah. Wow. So that's how I got started.
So you were living in Long Beach during the heyday of the ska, punk rock, reggae movement with Sublime and all that. Did you go to any
good turn? I love that.
Did you go into any shows back then? Some music shows back then?
No. Actually, my senior year, I was living in College Park East, Seal Beach area. So,
okay.
But I still went to school downtown. So I would just drive in, go downtown, But
I would kill to be in Long Beach in that heyday, man.
Yeah, that'd be.
It wasn't safe. It wasn't good.
Wasn't as cool. Snoop Dogg made it sound really cool.
Yeah, it was cool, but you guns and my buddy got shot with an AK-47 at the Carl's or Jack. What is it? It was a Taco Bell in the corner of PCH and Atlantic, right by my high school. So it was ridiculous. But in the day, it was okay. But you didn't want to be hanging around at night.
AK-47, dude.
Yeah. That was back in because that happened to him in '89 or '88, and I graduated in '90. So it wasn't that safe. You didn't stay. You didn't. It is what it is, right? It got cleaned up after that. But yeah, in Long Beach, it was okay. But it's not. Once you grow up there, you're like, I'm just gonna keep going south.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to Orange County. What am I doing in Long Beach? I'm white.
Exactly.
Well, talk about protection too, because people don't realize this. I think they changed the law last year, but for realtors, it's pretty dangerous. So I think there's 900 or so CCW holders in LA County. In Orange County, it's very safe because there's like 17,000 CCW holders. So anywhere you go, if somebody whips out a gun, somebody else has got a gun somewhere. And if you're a realtor, I don't think you need cause on your application as of last year. But if you're a realtor, you definitely get cause. So as long as you go through the little 16-hour, 18-hour course or whatever it is, but that's your application. So as realtors, I mean, I would say the most secure place you can go is a real estate office in Orange County. Because
you holding right now?
Yeah, no. And you want to get a single stack, maybe go with a 9 or 40 probably, but go single stack. Double stack's too white.
Tommy gun in this.
And now to why we call him Gator. Ryan, would you please?
Oh man, Gator. When I met this guy at Latitude Convention Center, San Diego, with the NAW rep. That was awesome. And then we had him over.
And when you say this
guy right over here,
fucking guy, huh?
This guy right here. Yes, this guy. So, and then Erik came to we had like a little barbecue party at our office, Keller Williams in San Clemente, and then you were just standing there. And we were like, hey, man, do you want to go take a look at the offices upstairs? And you're like, Gator don't need no office. Gator does business on his feet.
Gator needs some playing around money.
Yeah, so that was in reference because Zolma, the love of his life, had brought up the fact that they kind of refer to him as Gator. And I was like, well, we're going to start calling him Gator because it started with needing tax write-offs or just kind of finding a way to be smart and fiscally responsible. And then you were like, what was it? Like Gator wants some walking around money. Because that's from The Other Guys. That's Will Ferrell's character.
You guys need to watch that movie.
Yeah. So Will Ferrell's character, he's a real nice guy, an accountant, but he has a dark past when he was in college that he was Gator, who was an appointment scheduler, which was really a pimp.
Erik, you were a pimp in college, weren't you?
Was I? Was that one of my...
No,
maybe I tried it.
You just saw him have a flashback.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something. So he's got the girlfriend here, so we'll talk about it another day.
Yeah. But no, for real. So that's why he's Gator, and it's very hard to ever call you Erik at this point because
I didn't even know your name was Erik at all.
Yeah.
So,
and will you tell us about the buyer mobile?
No.
Okay, cool. All right.
Is that off limits? The Buyermobile's off limits.
Yeah.
Okay, we're cutting
Dude,
that out.
he's so, and you know what, man?
But tell it like it is.
Yeah.
I don't sugarcoat it.
Gator don't play no shit.
That's right. And we respect boundaries over here.
Except for these ones.
Yeah, we're not Epstein over here. Oh, well, maybe now.
Man.
But yeah, you got to reinvent yourself every year. You got to look at what you're doing, what you can improve on. You know, you can't keep, what's your competition doing? Are they copying you? You know, maybe you can copy them a little bit. You always got to think of something new and different. Otherwise, you're just kind of doing the same stuff, right? And then expand, like, branch out, doing this and that. Do something a little different, see what hits.
Yes.
Don't start a team before you're ready. I mean, and then, you got to look at if you really want to be in the office and managing people. But, it's a challenge. I think, going through, like if a new agent they just need to go through that disc assessment, figure out where they want to work, but also, look at your management too, because if your management, my personal opinion, your management should have been selling real estate to some degree. But yeah, you got to look at, okay, where do you want to work? How do you want to work? And then work that way. Like, I don't really like open houses. It's just kind of a waste. I mean, I'm not a high I, so I'm like a 30. I'm not a 70. So open houses really aren't my thing. It's not my natural inclination as far as how I am. But
I love how you brought the disc assessment up, because a lot of people don't know, but I didn't know about it until like this last year. And I started doing loans in like 2013. And so I've been in the business, and then in 2018 I decided, like, okay, let me start doing real estate. And I've just been a scrappy, because I'm good at helping out with the buyer side, because I know all about that. But once I found out about the disc assessment and knowing what it takes to, like, I guess what you're better at, it's like most realtors are just literally trying to reinvent the wheel all day.
Well, you get these managers that come in, right, and they get hired on, or who knows who they are, and they say, do this, this, and this, and this, but they don't really look at you as like, okay, what do you want to do? Like, I've interviewed when I was recruiting and training, I interviewed over 100 agents in 5 years. Where do they come from? What brands they come from? What do they have? What do we have? That kind of thing. And then you just kind of figure out what are they good at, and you got to kind of maybe push them in that direction first, because that's what they're going to excel at, right? But don't push them in something that may not be good. So it's an hour and a half business meeting. It's not a 45-minute, 30-minute, hey, we're the best company in the world, join us. It's like, this is what it's going to be. This is what it's going to cost you to make this much money if you stick to it. You're going to have to put in 2 hours a day doing this. We can track and measure as we go, but, based on your disc, this is probably what you're going to gravitate towards. So I'd probably start here, and here's why. And then, you get a lot of people, everybody gets their license, and they just some people will jump into it, some people won't, and it's just, you just don't know. That's why the attrition's huge. It's like people are out of the business because they don't really know what to expect. Because when I was recruiting, like a Remax, we're looking for the long term, right? Mm-hmm. So when I interviewed people, it was an hour and a half, and I was like, okay, we're looking at the long term, this and this. But my feeling was with other brands, let's get you on board. We're the greatest. You can do anything you want, and you're going to sell 3 properties to your friends and family, and you're going to be out of the business because you don't know the reality of what you're set up for, right? Yeah. And then they were going to take half your money there, and it's like, okay, now you're just, real estate didn't work, and you feel you got screwed because you didn't make any money, and this and that. And it's like there's a whole it's a lot.
It's a lot of misguided energy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because, most of the time you're a number until you prove yourself. And that's because there's so many people getting their license. If you don't know, really, and most management, they don't know.
And it's a constant battle.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, it is a revolving door, unfortunately. But you just you go through it. But hopefully new agents understand a lot of that stuff and look at some options. Don't join the same brand or office as your best friend because you don't work the same. You and your friend, like, you're a high I, I'm not. Mm-hmm. We get along, we hang out. Yeah. You're probably a high I, but we're going to work completely different. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And people know, like, I want to join a team. Me and my friend are going to do. I'm like, that's the worst thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a whole other topic. Never join teams. It's like, there's only one person in charge because it's not going to be good.
Where everybody's just best friends, but no one's making money.
Yeah.
You teams are out there. We know about you.
Yeah. And there are teams that work, but for the most part, we tell agents, like, you got to start off as an individual agent and see where it takes you, or else you might not learn the whole thing. You might live in a hole the whole time and not meet other agents in your office. So, you know, have that individual experience before you make the jump to a team, because there's a lot of pros and cons, and sometimes the cons aren't worth it.
Yeah, and get a TC, you know, pay them appropriately. And some people say that, you know, well, you should do all the paperwork yourself first, as you know what you're doing. Yeah, that's to some degree, but get the TC on board so they can maybe help you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my TCs are awesome.
Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, my TCs like that I've had, they obviously know a lot more about real estate than most agents, and they've sometimes they could very possibly carry the transaction.
Oh yeah,
because they're so good at what they do.
If you can't get a hold of your manager, you're broke, or somebody's at a vacation, your TC is right there, and they've been through it more than you. You know, my TC has probably had more transactions than I have, and I was like, oh, okay, well, what do you think we should do in this or this situation?
They can guide you.
Like, it's awesome. So
we need to get a transaction coordinator on.
That's the next one.
So essentially, what we're doing is we're educating. We want to just help out other agents. We want to help out buyers or sellers, just so they understand what is really going on in this market. And that's why we're so glad to get you on here.
Yes. Please tell the people, Mr. Erik Kaiser, where can they find you on social media?
I unfriended a lot of my realtors on Facebook because I don't want to share my secrets. I only the select few. I mean, you know, that's the thing. Once you're successful in this business, your realtors, the other realtors, they're your competition, regardless if they're your friends or not. I have friends in my office that I can't share my secrets with because I know they'll compete with me to some degree. And yes, there is enough business out there for everybody, depending on what your niche is, right? That's the thing to consider. If you've got a farm, your SOI, that's fine. But if you're niching yourself, you know, I do loans or whatever. Your lender does loans for doctors. You're going to service doctors and $1 million properties. Okay, you're not going to want to share that with your competition. It is what it is. You know, it's kind of strange, but
no, that by itself,
that's by itself
huge.
Yes,
yes. If somebody just goes for doctors, right? Like everybody has a secret sauce, and what have we been telling people, Ryan? Be different
and follow our podcast and listen, please. So can we find you on Instagram? Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, I am, but I post a lot of political stuff, so you probably won't like it. And I
love that.
I don't really care. You know, you can't be fear. You know, you can't. I just realized that. You want to work with your tribe, right? You don't want to be nice and be open to everybody, because it's just not gonna. It doesn't make sense. It's like
so different.
You pick your lane, stay in your lane, and you're gonna lose some, sure. But you know, I post a lot of political stuff because I just do, and it's like I work with those people that have the same mindset. Because and if I'm in a deal with somebody that doesn't think that are completely opposite, I'll play along and I won't bring up anything. But a lot of times the client brings up stuff and it's kind of fun, so you can jump in stuff.
Yeah, I mean, dude, as friends, we've all hung out. We have good banter. It's a good time.
Yep, it sure is, man.
And we love hanging with you, bro.
Yeah. So man. Yeah, Erik Kaiser Remax, serving Southern California, actually all of California.
Oh yeah.
If you do have any properties that are in probate, you're going to list a probate, call me. We will co-list it, no problem at all. I will guide you through that process. I'll make you look like a star, so you're not sued, and you don't get a bad review on like your Yelp or your Zillow. That's going to be important as well. You got to keep your reviews in line. But anyway, yeah, just reach out to me. You can find me, Erik Kaiser Remax Terrasol. You'll find me. Just Google me or something.
Google this man, Erik, A-R-I-K. E-R-I-K.
E-R-I-K.
Did I spell it wrong? Did I spell it wrong?
Erik?
Look up Gator
Kaiser.
So E-R-I-K.
I need another one.
Kaiser. Oh, yeah.
That's the only reason he came. He's like, I heard there was liquor.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, a meeting with podcasters or lenders without liquor, it could have been done over Zoom.
That's true, man.
I'll give him that.
That's true. Thanks for everybody.
Follow, like, share it to your mama, share it to your sister.
That girl that dumped you because you took her to a steakhouse, send it to her too.
Especially that one.
Yeah.
You're fucking welcome. We love you.
We love you. Out.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
All right. That was
You
good.
got nothing left.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David.